Dude, let it go. Let it go.
Alright. Here we go. We're getting ready for action.
Kill the
Meanwhile... Yeah, we should kill the call, douchebag. We're gonna cheat, cheaters. Okay, now we've got the cheater off the line. And we don't have music playing, so that Twitch will destroy this later, so that I can actually highlight it and upload to YouTube. We have our Terran player, WGsSteve. Up in our 2 o'clock position, we have our blue Terran player, Phobos. And down in our 7 o'clock position, we have our orange Terran player, the WGsSteve, from the clan Rain, which is based after the player Rain, who is the best player on Game FAQ's board. He was one of 2, I think, to get to Grandmaster League. He actually got on 2 accounts. And I can do this just like everyone else, and I won't let me zoom in. So let's not worry about zooming in. Let's just see how they play. I'm not going to lie. I don't know enough about the current meta to really tell you what their builds are going to end up being, but I can just assume we're going to have our blue Terran player going some type of mech build, because that's the way he likes to play. And then we are going to have our orange Terran player playing some type of M&M build, because as far as I've played with him, that's my experiences. So we have both players starting pretty standard. We've got our 10 depots at both. We have our... Let me bring up this menu right here. Good thing I still remember the control groups, and actually, I am retarded. Let me switch this, put this on. Boom, there we go. Now we've got a nice overlay. So, only a minute 30 into the game, and I put the overlay on, and actually, let's make it this overlay. So, now that we're going on, and they're getting a lot of talk, we have them at the same supply, but our orange player was slightly ahead. So if we go ahead and look at our income, we see that it's right around the same for both players currently. We do have a bunker going down from both. However, we do see an earlier scout from our orange player. Are we going to see a complete wall in? No, we're going to see a scout. So we're going to see a slightly later scout from our blue player. Food still even. Logitech Camera Tech trying to minimize me out of the game, like a tool shed that it is. We do see a little bit more minerals floating from our orange player because, let's see, I mean, our orange player has not sent a second, has not put a refinery down in the first place yet. However, our blue Terran has put one. So we are going to see at least one SCV get killed from the first Marine here from our blue player because he did get walled in. The blue player, however, did not even get to see into the orange's base. So the blue player is not going to see the gas timing. If we go ahead and look at the vision of the blue player, we're definitely going to see that he can't see the gas. However, we can see that the orange player did see that early gas. Now, this is Wings of Liberty. It's not HOTS, so we will probably not see any type of Reaper harassment. We do see both of them going for that comsat. And what we're going to go ahead and see is we're going to see that... let's see, is he going to expand? Yes, so the orange player is going to expand right now, while the blue player is laying a second refinery. So like I said, get 2 gases this early is probably more indicative of some type of mech play rather than M&M build. So we're going to see a bunker come out to make sure that there's an early defense behind this expansion. I wouldn't necessarily call this an early expansion, but that bunker is going to be integral because one of the things with mech builds, even against a Terran, is you're going to see some type of Hellion run by if the player can do it, and he's going to be deterred by that bunker in this choke because that's going to be 4 Marines that are going to just destroy Hellions if they try to run past. That's the good thing about a Terran versus another Terran. Hellion run bys may not be just as good as you think they're going to be. So we have not seen a single gas thrown down yet by our orange player, and we already have 2 gases and a factory coming down from our blue. So we're starting to see the builds divulge. We see 2 gases now going down, and we also see an engineering bay that's down. A second barracks is coming out, and we see a full bunker already, and we see a wall-in going on. We are seeing a starport, so we're seeing a 1-1-1 from our blue player. So it may turn out that our blue player will go for some type of Banshee harass rather than Hellion harass, since he, let's see if he has he scouted? He has scouted the bunker. So he knows the bunker's there, so he may go for some type of Banshee harass so that he can circumnavigate and get around it and try to get some drone kills out of this, because he did open so heavily into that gas, and he hasn't expanded. We're going to start seeing, even though right now the income differential is favoring our orange player. I didn't think that, but I'm thinking that's because there's a mule, because if we go ahead and look at our unit count, we see that the blue player has more right now SCVs. I'm surprised he doesn't have a higher lead, actually, with how early that secondary CC came down from our orange player. What we're going to end up seeing is we're going to see this orange player start taking a huge economic lead because they're going to have twice the mules. Mules are very important for Terran players, and we're going to also see twice the production capability for SCVs. So we also see that the orange player is much more actively scouting. Although you do have scans as Terran, so I don't see that the Terran player did scan here. So the Terran player knows exactly what's going on. And our blue player is going to go ahead. I'm saying our Terran player. They're both Terrans. I'm going to really help you guys out. Our blue player, Phobos, is going to make his second CC, finally at 40. So he's way behind. And we're seeing that this orange is now starting to take that income advantage by a good amount. That's 100 minerals per minute, 200 minerals. Let's see. Now that's where those mules. You see those mules? It immediately went from 700 minerals to about 1,000 minerals per minute. That's a lot. So mules make a huge difference here. We're not going to see any type of Hellion run-bys. It's just not possible. However, we are going to see a Marine and Hellion drop in the base rather than the Banshee play. So I was actually wrong in what I called. We do see a Tech Lab going down, so we're going to see some Thors and or Siege Tanks coming out from our blue Terran player. Meanwhile, we're continuing to see just a lot of Marine production, and I believe we're going to start seeing some Marauders getting pushed out now. We do see +1 finishing for our +1/+1 finishing for our orange player here in about 30 seconds, and we begin to see Siege is already being researched, so we are going to see a lot of tanks being pushed out. So again, this is going to be a mech versus a bio build, and we're going to see how this mech player is going to do. I mean, he is going to get around. The orange player does not know this is coming. He doesn't even know that there's a starport yet, so we're going to see how well this does, because the orange player is going to have to pull a lot of his units really far to counter this, and our Hellions, with 3 Hellions, it's going to do a lot of damage against Marines if he gets a proper lineup. Actually, this is going to hurt really bad. Our orange, nope, orange player saw it. Our orange player is responding already. We see the Marines coming down. Not a lot of damage, to be honest. You see, I've totally got to think. Units killed, so control. We're not seeing a whole lot of damage. Now we're seeing a little bit more damage. If he can get... Oh, he just roasted a lot of those. 15 workers killed. So if we go ahead and look, the worker count is only even, though. So this isn't... I mean, even though that looks like it's a huge win, it's actually not that big of a win. So he's still behind in supplies. Our blue Terran is still behind in workers from our orange Terran, just because he has had the second base for so long. But he destroyed a lot of workers there. At 15 workers killed, that's a lot more than the orange player wanted to move. And I think that sucked because he was moving out, and that's why he just got caught a little bit out of position and caught off guard there. So now we're going to see our orange player go and put some pressure on. If we have a siege tank out, it's going to help a lot, but our siege tank is not out yet. We do not have a full bunker. This orange player is going to be able to tear through that bunker very easily. He's going to have to pull some of these Marines. He doesn't have any Marines. He's going to have to pull something. He's got Vikings? Why does he have Vikings? Vikings are going to help him out. So we're going to have to see what happens with this. This is not necessarily an all-in, but it is very close to an all-in. So we're seeing, okay, the first Marine goes down. He sees what he's doing. He's got a siege tank on the high ground. Let's see the range there. The range is going to be able to hit. Boom! That is going to cause a lot of damage. That is going to cause the retreat there. So we just saw a lot of those Marines getting knocked down from our blue player. So our blue player is actually going to be able to hold here on defense. Is the orange player going to continue to push this? If we get more siege tanks, we have a second siege tank out. If we get more siege tanks out, the orange player is not going to be able to push with Marines that do not have any type of shielding yet. So we don't even see Marine shield going down from our orange player. We did see him drop the bunker. He's no longer afraid for defense, and he's actually going to go ahead and take his third CC. So we're going to see that the economy is stabilizing. Our orange player is still ahead by a couple of workers, and if we go ahead and look at the income, it's not really favoring either player right now. The gas is favoring our orange player, which is kind of weird because we have a mech play coming from our blue Terran player. We haven't seen anything go down for blue flames on these Hellions yet, so the Hellions are checking to make sure there's a third. So we are seeing a little bit of scouting coming from, but he's not going to be able to push any enemies just because of the amount. He is going to be able to do a little bit of damage, but I don't know if that was a worthy trade. I mean, he killed one Marine, and he lost a Hellion, so I don't know if that was really worth it. Now we're going to see our orange player start splitting some of his Marines? No, I don't know. He just split his Marines into 2 groups to prevent any Hellions from attacking. With his Marines set up here, they'll be able to attack on the low ground before the Hellions can see them, and they'll be able to get a couple of extra hits there. Oh, we see another drop going on. So what's going to happen here? Is that a missile turret? It's not a missile turret. Let's see how much damage this does. He does have a couple Marines here, but he has not reacted yet. He's now reacting, but these Hellions should be able to mop up those Marines. Nope, the Hellions are running away. The Hellions are They didn't really cause too much damage, actually. So that was really a loss for our blue player right there. He didn't cause too much damage with that, and he lost 300 minerals on those Hellions. We do see that we are getting medevacs out for our orange player, so this bio army is going to become a lot more formidable now that it's able to heal itself. So now that we're going on, we have a third CC coming down from our blue player as well. Is that a scan from our... Nope, that was a scan from our orange player. He's just seeing what's going on. He does not see the expansion. He does not see the expansion. He does see the poor saturation at the second base. And he does see the siege tank, so he knows that he cannot attack through the front door currently, but he can do a drop onto the main base. So we'll see. Now it looks like we have a drop coming down from our orange player. So we're going to see how well our... Oh, well, this is what those Vikings are for. We're going to make sure that there are no run-bys. So let's see what happens. Let's see if he can get the kill. The blue player almost knows as if this is coming. The blue player knows this is coming. Oh my gosh, the blue player is going to be able to kill. That's a lot of minerals lost to our... Oh my goodness, that's a ton of minerals lost. Is he going to get out of the way? Is he going to get out of the way? He did not lose his second medevac. He was able to survive the second medevac, but that is a lot of units killed from our blue player. He's got some Hellions coming through to wipe up these Marines. He's going to see if he can get that medevac. Oh, he didn't push far enough. If he would have pushed a little bit further, he would be able to get that medevac kill. He can take some free shots here. Is he going to get it? He is not going to get that medevac kill. That is going to be helpful for our orange player. So if we go ahead, look back at our blue player and our orange player, we see that the orange player is moving out with a large, formidable force of Marines. He now has that. He has not only stim, but he also has some healing behind that stim, and he does have that extra shield, so he gets a little 10 extra health. Now, we see a lot of siege tanks, so there's no way. I just see no way that this orange player can crack this blue player right now with this mech build. I mean, he's going to have to do a lot of dropping to try and mitigate the damage that he's going to see from these siege tanks. He's moving around the side of the base. We've got Vikings that are going to be... Is the blue player reacting? Does the blue player know this is coming? The blue player has not quite reacted.
Upgrade.
The blue player does see this. He sees this, barely. They see each other. Is he going to lose these Hellions? He's not going to lose these Hellions. He pulls the Hellions back. He's got missile turrets going up. He's ready for the drop. He's pulling the Vikings over. We're going to see some heavy damage on those medevacs, and you can't push into this position. The orange player is just making a very poor trades right here. He didn't even take out a single tank there. So if we go ahead again, look at our units lost. We're seeing 73 units lost to 30 units lost from our orange player. Now, the units lost tab, we're going to see the resource differential, even though that sounded like a huge number, 70 to 30, it's the Marines. They only cost 50 minerals, so he doesn't have to kill as much against a mech army to cause, but he is still 1,500 minerals behind in the amount of damage he has caused. And we see that while this player has actually gotten their third up, our blue player is just currently getting his third base ready and set. Now we see a food advantage for our orange player as it goes, and we're also starting to see, I believe, 3-3 coming down from our orange Terran player. Now, if we go ahead and look at the upgrades, we only have 1-2 coming down from our blue player. Have we seen Blue Flame? Blue Flame is now upgraded, and that's going to be very important against this heavy Marine composition, because Blue Flame is going to just melt those Marines. So I'm wondering if we're going to start seeing more Marauder production. No, we're not seeing Marauder production. We're seeing a bunch of factories getting laid down. How much damage are we going to cause here? We're seeing a lot more workers go down. Oh my goodness, we're seeing so many workers be lost here. Now, he did lose those Hellions, but he did trade. Now, even after that trade, again, since our orange player has been ahead economically the entire game, we're seeing a currently even worker count. And if we go ahead and look at our income, it's actually favoring just ever so slightly our blue player. Now, our blue player is starting to pull ahead in worker count, and I still am not seeing where this army is not going to be able to fight against the mech and tank army of our blue player. Medevacs are not going to help. I mean, we have lots of Vikings here. They're going to be able to take them out. The blue player is reacting to that. So, that scan. So, let's see. Is the blue player going to move towards his third? Is the blue player going to move towards their third? Let's see where orange tries to go. Blue player does have the tower, so he is going to see vision that where our opponent is moving. He's got this, so he knows if the opponent's going to move. If the opponent moves forward, he's moving into a very poor position. He saw the scan. Not a good engagement. Yes, you want to move. So are we going to see the blue player move his tanks? No. We have no tanks. We have only 2 tanks at this entrance. So if the orange player begins to push this entrance and he doesn't move some of these tanks, we might actually see he's able to do some damage. We see the orange player sees that there's only 2 tanks sieged up. Is he going to move up the hill? He is moving up the hill. We have more tanks moving into position. How much damage is this orange player going to be able to do? We see the 2 tanks fall, but we see a lot of damage going down to those medevacs. Marines. We see all the medevacs fall, and we see only a very small force survive. And we see three things sieging up. This is going to be it for that engagement. So our blue player is still coming out ahead. If we go ahead and look at units lost, we're seeing the blue players pulling further and further ahead in the amount of resources lost. And then we see some Thors coming out from our orange player. So our orange player actually went ahead, transitioned into more of a mech type of build. So the orange player is actually going into pure Thors. So we're going to see how this is effective against Vikings and tanks. I don't think it will be that effective. So we see a lot of Marines. No, we see a lot of SCVs that are transferring again to our third base. I'm surprised we haven't seen a fourth base come out from our orange player. So our blue player is moving out again with the Hellion run by. Now our orange player is prepared for this, has walled off this side. So any Hellions are going to have to move to the top. So he will have additional time to get out of the way. The scans that are going down, he sees what's going on at the third. He sees what's going on in the main. He sees the army of our orange Terran. So our blue player is completely ahead in the amount of units killed, and he's ahead now in the amount of workers that no, actually he's behind in workers because he stopped at 62. Now he is ahead in the number of bases, so he just decided to take his fourth. Actually, both players taking their fourth around the same time period. Now we see another scout going out from our orange player. We see a lot of Vikings. We see a lot of tanks. We have not seen any Thors, but we do see a supply block from our blue player, who now actually has the food lead. Now if we go ahead and look on, we see a lot of Thors from our orange player. So how is this going to play against our tank composition, our tank heavy composition from our blue player? We see the Hellion run by. He does kill a couple more units. If we go ahead, go back to our units tab, we're going to see that he actually was able to close the drone lead. So now we have the same amount of workers generally, 62 to 59. So it's basically the same amount of workers between our blue and our orange Terrans. We see a lot of Thors. Now the problem with the Thors, again, compared to that bio army, is that Thors are very slow, but we do see those Marauders getting thrown into the composition. So we have a lot of Marauders, which are going to have bonus damage against these tanks. They do have to get close enough to those tanks, but with Stim and the amount of health that Marauders have, at 125 compared to the 55 of the Marines, they will do a much better job. And he does have some Vikings coming out from his own. If we go ahead and look at the upgrades, we see 0-0 and 0-0 compared to a 0-0 air, but a 2-2 from our mech army on the blue side. So now that the orange player has decided to transfer into a heavier composition, we do see 3-1. We see okay, so I should say we see weapons level 3 coming out from our blue player and air armor level 1. Now we only see one attack upgrade coming from our mech player, or from our orange player. So we see the orange player wants to make a move. We're going to see where this attack comes from. We have the tower, we have siege tanks, we have our orange player who can't decide what exactly he wants to do. Both of our players are getting their fourth base underway. If we go ahead and look back at the units, we're seeing a very high supply lead taken from our blue player. We see a lot of tanks sieging up in one location. And we see, again, a Hellion run by that just destroys tons of workers from our blue player. So we're seeing, again, about a 3,000 mineral difference in the amount of units lost. 176 units lost compared to 61. But we both see both players floating minerals, and the supply count is relatively close at 186 to 180. So we're going to see our orange player again think about trying to make a move out. If he moves out now and moves towards the third, he will definitely have the advantage. We see an army that's out of position from our blue player. Now we're starting to see Thors from our blue player. Does the blue player see this? The blue player does see this. The orange player is choosing. Oh my goodness, the orange player made a poor mistake there and just lost a good chunk of his army. So now we're seeing a food supply of 190 compared to 173. Our blue player knows that our orange player is moving towards his third base, and our third base is completely undefended for this. So we're going to have to see all this army move into position. Is he going to move in? He is moving directly into composition. We see missile turrets that are very going to help against these Vikings. One of the tanks goes down. All the Thors are eating away. The tanks are sieging up. What is going to happen in this engagement? All of his Vikings are going down from the blue player. There's a lot of Thors against a lot of tanks, but the Thors are being chewed up. There's no way to repair them. The orange player really needs to call down some mules, and the orange player's army is melted. We see a huge differential and a huge loss for our orange player. We see a GG come out after that engagement. That was pretty much a thoughtful engagement. I mean, the blue player, if he pushed after this, he had such a food advantage, there was almost no way that our orange player was going to be able to come back into this game. So we see, if they play another game, we see Phobos, in a dominating fashion, destroy our orange player, WGsSteve. Bow, bow. What? How do you feel about that game, sir?
Do I need to say anything?
Do you need to say anything? I don't know. How do you feel?
Very pumped.
You
to
feel
see
very...
that I can still perform?
Oh, very pumped seeing that you can still perform. Well, I asked if he wanted a rematch, and you said sure.
Oh.
How do you feel about that?
He's gonna kill me now.
Extending the series to a best of 57.
Right?
Best
No.
of 50.
I used to play best of 7 with freaking Caesar back in the day.
Best of 12.
That's so many matches.
That's not that many matches. You only have to have 7 to win.